Okay, so let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to pull back the curtain on a massive, totally invisible system that is radically shaping our everyday lives. I mean, we spend so much time completely glued to our screens that we rarely step back to see the actual architecture running behind them. But today, we're going to map out exactly how that machinery works, what it's secretly extracting from us, and most importantly, how a growing movement is figuring out how to take it all back. I want you to really think about this sentence for a second. You told yourself it was just for a minute. We've literally all been there, right? You tell yourself you're just going to do a quick check of the news or a fast scroll to see what everyone's up to on a random Tuesday morning, and then bam, an hour completely vanishes. You look up, your jaw is super tight, your shoulders are practically up by your ears, and you've just absorbed this dense inventory of global disasters, random provocations, and curated proof that everyone else's life is absolutely perfect. You're completely stressed out. And the crazy part? You didn't want to feel that way, but you're probably going to do the exact same thing tomorrow. Why? Because honestly, it's not an accident. The system is working exactly as it was engineered to. And that brings us to this wild concept: human fracking. Look, these tech monopolies, they are not handing out free services out of the goodness of their hearts. They are actively engaging in the aggressive extraction of your cognitive capital. It's literally human fracking. You can picture these massive algorithmic drilling rigs plunging right into our minds, pulling out our care, our curiosity, and our intimate connections. They take your finite attention and turn it into their infinite profit. Just to really put that into perspective, wrap your head around this number: $700 billion. That is the projected global digital ad revenue for 2025. $700 billion. And the vast majority of that money is being generated by platforms that don't charge you a single dime to log in. That massive financial footprint is the ultimate proof that every single minute you spend scrolling, you're the product. You are the raw material. The app itself, that's just the bait on the hook. And this extraction, it doesn't just stay on the screen. It deeply dictates how we behave in the real world. Just look at this. Recent studies are showing that an incredible 72% of consumers in India now actually depend on social media feeds to tell them what to buy before making a purchase. 72%. It really highlights the sheer mind-boggling scale of global behavioral modification happening right under our noses. These algorithms aren't just politely suggesting things. They're actively shaping what we trust, what we desire, and exactly how we spend our hard-earned money. So, how exactly are they pulling this off beneath the surface? Let's take a look at engineering our anxiety. The absolute secret sauce here is this loop, what researchers are now calling dopamine scrolling. And it mimics the exact same psychology as a casino slot machine. Think about that pull to refresh swipe we all do 100 times a day. Every single time your thumb pulls down on that screen, you are essentially pulling a slot machine lever. You just don't get the free drinks. The feed is intentionally bottomless. And the real genius of it is the intermittent reward. You don't get a hit of something amazing every time you swipe. It's totally unpredictable. And human brains, we are hardwired to completely obsess over unpredictable rewards, which keeps those dopamine anticipation circuits firing non-stop. But what exactly is the algorithm throwing at us to keep us hooked? Well, it's actively gaming our ancient amygdala, the part of the brain that evolved to spot threats on the savannah. Back in the day, noticing a predator kept you alive. Today, noticing outrage keeps you clicking. Platform engineers figured out pretty quickly that fear, disgust, and moral shock generate way more engagement than, feeling content. In fact, the data shows that posts using moral or emotional language spread 20% faster than joyful ones. The system basically optimizes for whatever keeps your eyeballs glued. And unfortunately, human anxiety is incredibly profitable. And we are really starting to see the fallout of living in that feed. We're dealing with this manufactured ambient FOMO, just a permanent, exhausting background hum of feeling like you're missing out. We're trapped in upward social comparison, constantly stacking our messy, average real lives against the hyper-polished, filtered highlight reels of thousands of strangers. And this leads directly to a spike in depressive symptoms, especially in younger folks, along with just massive cognitive fatigue. Your prefrontal cortex is utterly exhausted from processing threats, filtering out fake perfection, and trying to suppress the urge to just pick up the phone again. It is a permanent state of engineered anxiety. Which brings us to a really crucial realization: the myth of willpower. I absolutely love this quote because it hits the nail right on the head. Contentment in the attention economy is the one psychological state that cannot be monetized. Think about it. A happy, contented user has nowhere to go, no urgent problem to solve, and nothing to buy. The entire extraction machine literally requires your dissatisfaction as its fuel. The gap between who you actually are and who your feed implies you should be, that specific gap is exactly the psychological space where advertising lives. If we were all just happy and satisfied, that $700 billion machine would completely grind to a halt. So when you can't put your phone down, you probably blame yourself, right? But pitting your individual personal willpower against a trillion-dollar supercomputer designed to hijack your nervous system, that is a wildly unfair fight. We have got to abandon this myth of individual willpower. Think about the tobacco industry. We didn't solve that public health crisis by just telling people to, try harder to stop smoking. We pushed back collectively with structural regulation. And we need that same collective resistance here to build sanctuaries that these algorithms simply cannot penetrate. This is a massive public health issue. It's not a personal failing. So, what is the game plan? It's about forging attention sanctuaries and getting our cognitive sovereignty restored. Reclaiming your mind essentially requires what's called attention activism. And the really good news, you already have everything you need right now to start. It rests on three main pillars. First, organizing, actually building coalitions to push back against this human fracking. Second, sanctuary, creating protected physical spaces and blocks of time that are completely shielded from the algorithm. And third, study, engaging in authentic, shared, deep inquiry. That is exactly how we rebuild the muscle of genuine human connection. And listen, a sanctuary does not have to be some silent monastery or a grand, fancy building. It can be incredibly everyday. Like, it could literally be a mobile library hitched to a tricycle, like the awesome Street Books program they have in Portland, bringing stories directly to people on the sidewalk. Or it could just be a totally normal meetup in your local park. The point is, it's a portal. It's a protected space where we actually practice the kind of deep, sustained attention that lets us flourish alongside other human beings. These spaces essentially appear out of thin air the moment a group of like-minded people make the conscious choice to just power down. When we intentionally put the devices away and choose to be fiercely, fully present with the people and the things we actually care about, boom, you've created an attention sanctuary. It's entirely about taking our gaze away from the corner of a glowing screen and returning it to the physical, breathing world right in front of us. I'm going to leave you with this final, vital thought. The science of what these platforms are doing to us is definitely not a mystery anymore. The public health data is crystal clear. The awareness is finally spreading. But remember, this massive machinery of human fracking, it only works if we stay isolated, scrolling, and distracted. So knowing what you know now, how are you going to build your attention sanctuary today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you reclaim a little piece of your cognitive sovereignty.